Good morning, everyone. My name's Pia Lamberti, and I work with Shireen and Patricia. So you will have already been looking at the one slide, which tells you where we actually are located. So we are on APK. How many of you are not based on APK as a matter of interest? Okay, so quite a few of you. Can I also ask, because it helps if you know who you're talking to, how many of you are full-time students? Can you put up your hands? So it looks like most of you are, which makes sense since it's the middle of the working day, but I gather some of you have actually taken time off work to be here. And now my next question is, how many of you are master's coursework students? So in other words, you're going to do a mini dissertation. Quite a few of you. How many of you are master's full research students? Okay, lots of you. And how many of you are PhD candidates? A few. Okay, so that gives me a much better idea of who is actually here. I also note that there are lots and lots of librarians here, which is great to see because the librarians play a very important role in supporting you in your postgraduate research. So I'm covering some of the things that our senior director, Shireen, has already spoken about, but you'll see I'm speaking to slides. So there are our focus areas. And the first one that I want to briefly talk about is the monitoring part of what happens in the postgraduate school, which is done obviously in conjunction with the deans and the faculties. So you can see from that, we know how many of you in terms of male-female ratios there are in both doctoral and masters. Interesting to note that there are fewer female students registered for master's degrees. That's quite surprising. We also know how many of you there are. Obviously, we're working with figures that are not from this year, but from last year. So you have a sense that last year we had a total of 3,014 master's students and 1,078 doctoral candidates. So as Shireen said, you are a very select, given that there are roughly 50,000 students at this university, you are a very select special group. And we have our eye on you, and we really want to give you the best possible support. You'll see there too on the slide, roughly, well, exactly in 2016, how many graduates there were for master's and doctoral in that particular year. So you can see it's always quite a small proportion of the people who are registered at any one time. And then you can see the average time to completion for the master's is 3.26 years, and for the PhD, it's just over 5 years. And then at the very end, you can see the information about dropouts. So please don't be part of the 24.2% who drop out of their masters, or the nearly 19% who drop out of the PhD program. Moving on, Shireen also spoke about the regulatory environment. There is a postgraduate studies framework which is regulated by means of policies which have gone all the way through the faculties and to higher degrees committee generally. So what you see on the slide there are the documents that you should be aware of. Everything except the second point there are actually documents. When we have our monitoring system, our online monitoring system up and running, and I'm told that it will be roughly in March, which is around the corner, these documents will be uploaded to that site and you will all have access to them. It's really important that you know about the policies that determine how you will be supervised and how your postgraduate studies will go. I'm not going to speak any more to that. I do want to lastly just highlight the supervisor-student agreement. How many of you are new this year? Hands up. Okay. How many of you have actually already seen the student supervisor agreement? Good. So if you haven't yet seen that agreement, it's one which your supervisor contracts with you exactly how the supervision process is going to go. I just suggest you ask your supervisor about it, because once you have that, then you have a very clear idea of what is expected of you and also what your supervisor and your faculty expects. So we've spoken about this online system that we plan to have. It is in Blackboard, which I'd imagine many of you, it's a learning management system that you should be familiar with. And some of you, there is a pilot group who are, through their supervisors, already involved. So some supervisors have agreed to be part of the pilot, and their students are also part of the pilot. And this is where you can see all your milestones online, and your supervisor can see them too, and so can we, so that your progress can be monitored. Is there anybody who is already part of that pilot group? You may not be aware of it yet, but you may be. But as I said, from March onwards, you will all, everybody who is a registered student, registered master's or student or doctoral candidate will have access to that. So you will go onto Blackboard and you will find all the documents you need. You will find information about the workshops that we run from the Postgraduate School as well. Oh, and perhaps at this point I should just mention that we do have a very long program of workshops on offer this semester, and at each table there is a photocopy of all the workshops for semester 1. We've only got one on each table, but obviously if you haven't already received it via email, we will email it to you. I'm not here to talk about postgraduate funding. As Shireen has explained, there is actually a whole postgraduate funding management section in the postgraduate school, but I did think it would be interesting for you to see that postgraduate funding has increased steadily since 2014. That is the first graph on this slide. And then if you look at the second part of this slide, it's the percentage of students funded who have external funding, and you'll see that honors has a lot proportionally to the number of honors students, and PhD quite a bit, but that master's students don't have quite as much funding, so we're working on that. What also you should know is nearly all the funding opportunities, if you haven't already been made aware, are for full-time students, which means it's very difficult to access this kind of funding if you are part-time. So moving on specifically to the section that I work with, research capacity development, you'll see that there are numerous kinds of initiatives that we run, from research design and methodology workshops, research writing support, other workshops. In partnership with the library, there is a marvelous information literacy and management workshop program, which is offered primarily by Ivy Sehue, who is sitting over there and who you definitely should know. Won't you put your hand up? Thanks, Ivy. And then we also have some events that are designed to give you opportunities to learn how to communicate your research findings to different kinds of audiences, be they academic or just lay people, the general public. And that's what I want to talk about first. So every year we have the 3-minute thesis competition. I think over there in the photograph, we've got the 2016 competitors with some of the judges as well and some staff from the postgraduate school. How many of you know about the 3-minute thesis competition? So it's mainly the librarians who know, But this is something, particularly if you're starting off, that I think you should know about. It's a wonderfully exciting opportunity. It's a concept that came from Australia. There are 3-minute thesis competitions held all over the world. And what it is, it's a competition for PhD candidates who haven't yet graduated, but generally they are at the end of their studies, because you have 3 minutes if you enter, and one static PowerPoint slide to present your thesis to the audience, and to tell them why your research is important. So this is a wonderful opportunity. We generally have it in October, and so perhaps you wouldn't be involved this year if you're starting off, but in 2019 or 2020, perhaps have your eye on that. It's really something it's worth participating in. The winner of the UJ 3-minute thesis competition goes to a national 3-minute thesis competition at the University of the Orange Free State, and also a video of their presentation is sent to the U21 3-minute thesis competition, where you have the opportunity to compete with your peers at the U21 universities across the world. It really is a very exciting opportunity, and even as an audience member, it's great fun to attend. So I invite you to attend the next one in October. We'll send out notification of the date. Then also another opportunity for you to present your research, both master's students and doctoral candidates, is the Postgraduate Symposium. We generally hold that. Actually, that's the one that's in October. The 3-minute thesis competition is generally in September. So the Postgraduate Symposium, I think we might change the name this year and call it the Postgraduate Research Conference, is one where you can present your findings of your research. We don't encourage people who've just written a proposal to present, because normally at a conference you don't give a presentation until you have some research findings to present. But later on in the year, we'll call for abstracts, and all of you will have an opportunity to participate. We generally have, all the faculties are involved, and as you can see from the slide, a lot of people are involved. So there are at least 50 presentations, both poster and oral presentations. Then, in terms of research design and methodology, we give a number of quantitative research design and methodology workshops in collaboration with the statistical consultation services at UJ. You can see their details are at the bottom of that slide. And you can see that there actually it's a series of 8 workshops, which ideally you should attend in sequence. So it is a workshop series bordering on a course if you attend them all. In years to come, we are hoping we actually will be able to offer a short course on quantitative research design and methodology. In terms of qualitative research, we will have a methodologies reading group, which will be led by Patricia. There'll be more detail about that coming up. We've got workshops on case study research and action research happening in the next month or so. And on the 30th of May, we have an Atlas TI workshop given by an international expert on Atlas TI. Now, in that slide, you can see the picture of where we hold most of our workshops. This is the seminar room in the Postgraduate School. Then I do want to talk a little about research writing. I could talk a lot about research writing. Research writing is actually my specialist area. I did my PhD in educational linguistics, and I focused on the discourse of development studies as it happens. But what I learned is relevant to all postgraduate or research writing. So we know that academic discourse, academic language, is no one's mother tongue. So if you find research writing difficult, it is not surprising. We all do. And so we have a lot of opportunities for you to develop as a research writer, because we know how challenging it is. Also, lots of postgraduates write their dissertations and theses, and they pass. They get their qualification. But what we are hoping is to make sure that what you write is really good quality research writing, which will increase the likelihood of your being published and which will just make you a better writer, researcher, and thinker. So there has been a lot of information going out about the opportunities you can see on this slide. And what I want to hopefully do now, except is it going to work? I don't have a... Yeah, can you see if you can just click on the link? We have research writing consultants in the postgraduate school available most times during the week, but you do need to book to see them, and you do need to send a piece of writing ahead of time so that the consultant can read it and prepare for the meeting with you. These consultations are not editing sessions. They are designed to make you a better research writer. And this is more about it. So the person speaking in the slide is called Patrick, and he is going to tell us a little bit about the whole process of research writing consultation.
Hi, I'm one of the writing consultants at the Kingsway campus of the University of Johannesburg, and I'd like to tell you a bit about the consultation process that we provide. Writing consultation is a collaborative endeavor. Clearly, it involves the consultant and the consultee, you perhaps. But it also involves other administrative staff here at the Postgraduate School. There are a number of steps that those involved need to go through in order to provide the kind of help that you're looking for. I'd like to outline those steps and say a little bit about each so that anyone who thinks that they might benefit from consultation knows how to make the most out of the process. The stages of the process then are referral, booking, preparation, consultation, and redrafting. But what happens in each? Well, first of all, there's referral. And the most common ways to find out about consultations are through supervisors, any of the writing centers, word of mouth from a fellow student or from a colleague. We accept referrals for and from postgraduate students who are registered on a master's or doctoral course of study at the University of Johannesburg, or any academic working on research, be it toward a qualification or for publication. Just send an inquiry by email and we'll get back to you with a booking form you need to complete and return. Next comes the booking stage. Once you've sent us your completed booking request with all your student details and specifications of what you'd like help with, along with a request for a particular time, our team will schedule an appointment with the best consultant for you at a time that suits both of you. If we haven't already received it, at this stage we'll also ask you to forward whatever piece of writing it is that you'd like to consult about. Please bear in mind that sessions are 45 minutes, and the amount of writing you want to focus on should reflect this time constraint. On receipt of the forwarded submissions, the writing consultant will prepare for the consultation, and usually about 48 hours is needed between receipt of the submission and the consultation. This is in order for the consultant to read and annotate the text. For you, this means that in order to fully take advantage of the process, you should definitely leave yourself time to redraft after the session. During preparation, the consultant will pay particular attention to what you've requested help with. This can be anything from the cogency of the argument, in other words, how clear and convincing it is, to how well you structure your sentences or your choice of words. Consultants may not have specialist knowledge in your field, but if there are problems with logic, sequencing or the coherence of ideas, they should be able to spot them. The actual consultation is a 45-minute meeting during which your writing is discussed, along with any ideas about how to improve the submission. At the end of consultations, the annotated, not corrected, version of the script is emailed to the consultee, who goes off to redraft. The point about annotations not being corrections is important. You're the expert in terms of your research. Consultations are arranged in order to let you tap into writing expertise. Though consultants may employ a range of different approaches, the aim is always to help you become a better research writer, not to offer an editing service. Finally, there's redrafting. Good academic writing is iterative. The best writers, whether literary or academic, review and revise their work until what eventually is submitted is often quite different and significantly better than what they initially wrote. And by better, I mean it's a clearer expression of what they're trying to say. Even the iterative nature of drafting a submission might be quite foreign to student writers, and so becoming familiar with the nature of this process is an important part of what the service offers. Staff and students receive feedback from the sessions which they can accept or reject, and they frequently return for more consultation. PhD candidates are allowed a maximum of 3 sessions a month, and master's students can come for a maximum of 2. So that's a quick summary of the process. It's probably worth adding, at the risk of seeming immodest, that an overwhelming majority of those who attend consultations find them really useful, and the majority book follow-up sessions and return. We see in those that return real improvements in the quality of their writing. If you want to book a consultation, email rcd-inquiries@uj.ac.za with "Writing Consultation Request" in the subject line.
What I also wanted to highlight is, in addition to the initiatives that we are responsible for, there is actually a lot of support for postgraduate researchers online. And one of the best sites, it's a local site, but it has been developed in conjunction with overseas universities as well. And there's input from all the universities in South Africa as well as overseas. It's the one there. You can see the address, postgradenvironments.com. And just to give you an idea of what is available, if you click on research design and methods, there's quite a bit of material. There's a lovely 6-minute or so video on the difference between theory and concepts. Very lovely explanation of the thesis as an argument from Sue McKenna at Rhodes University, and explanation of the examination process as well for when you submit your dissertation or thesis. So that's just some of what is available on that website, and it really is, I recommend it because it's solid. There's so much on the web that is not so reliable. So to end off, here are our contact details. So Patricia's, mine, our administrator Megan, and the head of postgraduate funding.
It's working there. Good morning, everybody. Right, we are from CAT, commonly known as CAT, but we are the Center for Academic Technologies, and we are situated, first of all, in D Ring 3. So any queries relating to specific technologies, that is where you can find us, where we have different help desks to assist you. Okay. And there is the email address that you can contact should you have any queries, along with the telephone number. I suggest you keep note of that. It's 3580. and that would be a number to call should you have any Turnitin, any access problems. That is basically who you would call. Now, CAT gives you access to uLink. Now, uLink is commonly known as your student portal. It is not the same as Blackboard and the other software that we are talking about. It is your student portal where you can get your financial statements, research software, all kinds of goodies on there. uGo is the app that allows you to view uLink and Blackboard on your mobile device. So it's actually just resizes. Exactly what is on uLink you will also find on uGo. uHelp is step-by-step assistance to give you guidance in how to use Turnitin, how to participate in a discussion, how to participate and collaborate, or whatever functionality your lecturer might use. Blackboard is the actual learning management system. And that is where you will find the Turnitin functionality. So you have to be registered for the module, and you have to be in contact with your lecturer to make that available. The lecturer makes it available, so it's no use phoning 3580 if you don't have access to Turnitin. Your lecturer is ultimately responsible for setting up Turnitin. Right. You log in using your student number. Your email address by default, the UJ email address is your student number at student.uj.ac.za. That by default is a Gmail email address. And then remember your password. I can't tell you how many calls we get about people forgetting their passwords. Very important, but you can go to a computer lab to reset your password or even phone us. Okay? You are aware of the Wi-Fi hotspots all over UJ, that you can actually access the Wi-Fi. It's free of charge, so you don't have an excuse that I couldn't get to some sources, because it is free at UJ. And also across the city, there's 1,000 active Wi-Fi hotspots in the city of Joburg, mostly close to the stations as well as the libraries and that kind of thing. So you do have Wi-Fi, so that is less stress on your pockets. Okay, how do we access UJ Wi-Fi? You basically go to your settings on your device, whichever device you might have. You enter your UJ student number, email, and then your password, and it will give you access to the Wi-Fi network as a student. Okay. You're welcome to interrupt me if you'd like to put up a hand and ask me as I go along. Right? Very important, anti-theft settings on your phones. You know how often in South Africa, we are living in South Africa, that the devices get lost, stolen, whatever might happen. So please make sure that you actually activate the anti-theft settings on your devices. Okay? We are also good at the apps domain, and we offer you the Everyone Print app, which means that you can actually print from wherever you are. So if you are at your office, you can actually send your printing to UJ via Wi-Fi, and once you get here, you can just go and collect. So you don't have to be on campus to print. So that is a good app to download, Everyone Print. Blackboard, as I said, is the learning management system. You've got Numalo, the crime response app, and then you've got the SOS, and then also miEbooks. Now, miEbooks are mainly for undergraduate, but the reason I'm mentioning it here, there is a lot of free books that you can actually access from there that UJ has purchased. So even as postgrads, there are free books available for you. And in order to get to those apps, of course, depending on the device you have, where you will go to download the specific apps you need. Android devices are different from your Apple devices and your Windows devices, which is Nokia. So you should know how to download the apps. Okay, how to log into miEbooks. There is help on campus, and there is also a telephone number, 3804, should you not be able to access the miEbooks. And one of the other ebooks available is Success 101, and there's a whole lot of information in that ebook relating to processes and procedures at UJ, finances, how to manage your time, not to procrastinate, because that's a big thing when you're doing postgrad. Believe me, it's so easy to do something else rather than sit and work. Okay, and then the very important thing, as I said, uLink, that is your student portal. And before you actually log into uLink, there is the option of uHelp, and that is where you'll find the step-by-step instructions relating to Turnitin or anything your lecturer might put onto Blackboard for you. You will log into, you will go to your uLink portal, which is uLink at uj.ac.za. You go to uHelp, you are obviously the Blackboard user, and then it will give you step-by-step instructions on how to do use certain functionalities on Blackboard. When you go into uLink, the first screen you see is the UJ notification page, and that lady said that I wasn't aware of the workshops that's available. This is typically where they would announce anything that's important university-wide. So it doesn't matter which campus you are at, the important university-wide information will appear on the notification page as you log in. Close the screen, and then this is just a screenshot of what uLink or uGo will look on the uGo app. It just looks different, but on your computer screen, it looks like this. So it's the same thing, it just looks differently. Very important, on the scrolling banner, you have access to Office 365, okay? It is those little dots at the bottom of the banner. I think it's around about dot number 3 or 8. You can just scroll next to the buttons, and you will get the link to Office 365. That is freely available to you, and they offer you 1 terabyte space for saving your work. Very important. I had a colleague, his house burned down just about as he was about to submit, and if he did not have Office 365 at that stage, fortunately he had CDs, but this is a space where you could actually save all your work in the cloud and know it is safe for you to use. So you also use your UJ email address to access it and your normal UJ email. And there are other functionalities there as well. Sway, where you could collaborate with your friends. You have OneNote. So if you all work together on one document, you can work together at the same time in different spaces. So you could sit at home and somebody could sit in Germany or KwaZulu-Natal, wherever they are, and you can work on the same document at the same time, and you can see what the other person is doing. So there's a whole lot of functionalities in Office 365, which is freely available to all of you. Okay? uLink also offers you the bus timetables for those of you who perhaps use public transport, but there's a book on a different campus that you might need. There are buses freely available to you to fetch your resources from other campuses should the book not be available on APK or APB or wherever. And you cannot wait for the library to actually get it to you, then you can go and fetch it yourself. Yes, and then there's the Blackboard platform that I spoke about, and this is where you will find your Turnitin. That is ultimately the responsibility of your lecturer to make it available. The Postgraduate Center will have a community. I am not sure whether they're going to make Turnitin available within the community or only with the lecturer. Oh, so you're also going to do it within the community. Now, okay, your lecturers might design in a different way depending on their likes and dislikes. So they will use different tools, different colors, but in the end, it's basically the same information. SaferSign is another platform that you could also check plagiarism on. Works similar to Turnitin. It's just not such an extensive database, but I don't think you need to concern yourself with that. So any questions from Kat's side? Perhaps I should just mention, on uLink, there where I said about the bus timetables, there's also an option for research software, like Pia mentioned earlier. So under research software is where you will find access to Atlas, CAS, SPSS, Mathematica, whatever you might use for your research.
Good morning, everyone. I hope it's still morning, right? It is. Okay. My name is Ivy Sehwe. I am the faculty librarian for research. There is a whole lot of librarians across our 4 campuses. So I am just going to share with you the services that we have in place for you in order for us to support you in your research journey. So here it goes. Just to share some quick facts about the library, you might already know that we have 4 campuses or 5 libraries in these 4 campuses at the APK, Soweto, Bunting Road, and we have the Fada Library as well as the DFC Library. Okay, that happens. Okay, some of the facilities that we have in our libraries we have meeting rooms. That is, if you and your study mates want to come together and talk over your research, we have facilities for that. We have a 24-hour space that you can also use for after hours. We have training facilities where these workshops that Pia mentioned happen in, and we have full Wi-Fi connectivity across all our libraries, and of course we have computers, as we know that you are not always able to bring your devices to campus. Okay, so what we strive for as the Library of the University of Johannesburg is we want to be the biggest online library. So you might already know that we have a wide variety of electronic resources, online resources, and some of the resources that we have include uLink, which is a catalog. Basically, a catalog is a database that you can use to search for our print and online collections. We have a collection of online magazines and newspapers if you do feel like you want to procrastinate a bit. Not that I am encouraging it, but if you do want to take a break, I think that is allowed. Please note that we have online magazines and newspapers and online leisure reading as well. So we have a wide selection of novels also available from the library. So our electronic resources are available from the library's website. We have a huge online presence. So we offer you some information services. And as I mentioned, I'm not the only librarian here. Pavlinka, the lady in pink, is the librarian for science. And Ron, if you can just wave. So the sciences students, that is your lady. And we also have Ronelle Smith from humanities. So what we do is basically we support you with the information sources or whatever research needs you have relating to the library. Okay, and of course, we wouldn't be a library if we wouldn't let you take out our books. So as a postgraduate student, you are allowed 16 books for, you are allowed 16 books for 30 days. And also, as I mentioned, we are striving to become the biggest online library in Africa. So we have a huge collection of eBooks, which you can also download onto your devices as well. So it works the same way as issuing out a book. The difference is that that book, in this case, would be on your device and you can access it offline. I keep on doing that. Okay. And of course, we have a copyright office in the library that is just to make sure that you are using the information that you find in the library accordingly. So please note that we have a copyright office in the library. Okay, there is a service that we're offering. We offer a bindery service as well. And what the bindery service does is we bind your thesis and your dissertations when it's time for you to submit. I mean, at the end of the journey, you should be able to submit something to the university. So please note that we do the binding for you. And the binding is not only for the thesis or dissertations. We also repair old books or we bind reports and things like that. So if there's any work that you have that you need to have bound, please note that we have a bindery service. The office is on the level 3 of the library. So, and this service is available to all students and staff, as well as private clients. And some of the things that they specialize in is certificate holders, something to store your certificate in when you graduate, notebooks and pen holders, and reserved signs for tables as well. And their turnaround time is usually 7 working days. And those are some of the things that are on offer from the bindery. And the gentleman from the bindery is actually here, Mr. Michael Mukwena. If you could just wave your hand over there. There he is. So let's talk to the core support services that we offer for research, okay? So as you might know, there are several stages to the research life cycle, and I chose to focus just on the 4. So for your preparation stage, that is when you are at the very beginning. What we do as librarians is, often you are required, before you even start, I think it is essential for you to know what research has been done and things like that, so that there is no duplication. Your research should be unique and contributing to the entire society as a whole. So what we do is we make you aware of the library resources relevant for developing your research topic. And this is exclusively on previous research that has been done. We also have sources to support you, sources on research methodology. Those will be books on research methodology. Those would be databases on research methodology. And then we also have some databases that you can use, that will help you to identify potential collaborators in your research or institutions that are already doing the research that you are interested in. And as the lady from CAT mentioned, we also have what we call the LibGuides. So the LibGuides are quite popular amongst our library users because they are portals that the librarians have created just to make everything available for you in one place. The library website is so big, and the university website is so big. So what we have done is we have put everything together for you in one place. So those are the LibGuides. I hope to just go into the LibGuides a little bit later, just so you know where it is and how to go into the LibGuides. And one of the things that you do is we give you access to other, you are allowed access to the other libraries in the other campuses, and also to the other South African libraries. So if you are staying in Pretoria, you could use UNISA, you could use the University of Pretoria. You just need to go through your librarian as well to arrange for access. Okay, so going over to the other stage of the research cycle. So when you know what you want to research in, you're ready to gather your information. So this is where the library resources comes in. And we offer you training, of course, with regards to how to use the library resources. And the kind of training that we offer, it could be in groups. You can come as a group, or it can be individual training as well, pay an appointment with the relevant librarian. So our group trainings is part of the schedule that the Postgrad School put on your tables as this morning. You would see that some of the trainings are listed there, but I must make a correction. Although my name is given for all the sessions, I'm not the only one who's doing those sessions. Colleagues like Paflinka and Ronel are responsible, and the others who could not make it are responsible for all the trainings that we give. Okay. Then moving over to the publishing and sharing stage of the life cycle. So when you want to make your research, what you have done available, often the big question is, where do I publish? So what we do is we can help you get hold of the accredited journal list, because you cannot just publish in any journal. As you would know, the journal that you publish in should be acknowledged by the Department of Higher Education and Training. Therefore, you will qualify for a subsidy from that department. Also, we make you aware of the journal impact factors. You need to know how the journal that you are publishing in is doing, if it's a reputable journal or not. And then if needs be, also sometimes the journal that you want to submit to would have certain author requirements. So we will guide you also with regards to that as well, where to look for the author submission guidelines, because most students or academics even do not know where to find these things. And also we have an institutional repository, which is basically a database of all that in which all the knowledge that is produced as UJ is deposited. So what will happen is at the end of your studies, your PhD or your master's thesis is going to be stored in the institutional repository, and it's going to be available for the whole world to see. Lastly, when you have published, you want to measure the impact of your work. You want to see actually, are there any people reading my work? How is my work doing? And how is your profile doing as a researcher? So this is where the measuring of your impact comes in. And as librarians as well, we help you to use the databases that actually tells you how your work is doing, how you are rated as the researcher, your H indexes and things like that. And there's I'm not sure if some of you might know of it, but it's a new thing that is becoming a requirement also for publishing. It's called an ORCID ID. Basically, it's if you think of your identity number. So it's an identity number for research. So your ORCID number would tie all your research works in one place. So if Pia is looking for you, just by using your ORCID number, she would be able to see all the work that you have done. And you will realize, or you would notice that most of the publishers are starting to require that you create an ORCID ID when you submit your work to them. So it is important to have an ORCID ID, and we help in that regard as well. Okay, so I'm going to just skip this because it's basically what I was doing. So I just want to go to the other form of support that we offer as the library. We offer support through the spaces that we have. I mean, we are in this space today, and we are having this wonderful workshop. So it is part of the library's role as well to offer spaces that support research in this way. So we have a brilliant, wonderful space in the level 2 of the library, a space that is exclusive for you. So it is access controlled. Only postgraduate students are allowed using their card. And the aim of the Research Commons is to create an environment that is conducive for doing research. So it is a space that is exclusive just for you. And some of the facilities available in the Research Commons are computer workstations with Microsoft Office packages, and the data analysis software that Pia mentioned, your SPSS, Atlas TI, Mathematica, and others. And we also have individual and collaborative study spaces, so you can just use the space also to do your work on your own or to meet with your group. And as I've already mentioned, we have meeting rooms as well. So some of the services that are offered from the space is there are librarians in that space, and I actually sit in the Research Commons and at APK. So if you happen to be in the APK Research Commons, we will gladly assist you. We also offer workshops and trainings as part of the Research Commons programs, and we also do seminars as well. So lastly, as I mentioned, I'm not the only librarian here. Those are the other librarians, for art, design, and architecture, for the College of Business, for education, for Phoebe, for health sciences, humanities, law, and science. So it is a whole lot of, there is a whole lot of librarians in the library. And we wish you all the best, and we hope to see you, because often the students do not know the kind of support that is available for them from the library. So we don't want you to struggle in isolation. There are numerous resources to assist you. There are friendly librarians to assist you. If we do not know, we will refer you. So please do make use of us, take advantage of us. That is what we are here for. And on that note, thank you very much. I think if there are questions, we're running out of time. Myself and the other librarians are over there. You can just chat to us at some point today.